We had tall and short Ben on the podcast today.
Two Bens.
Two Bens. Two, which is always better than one.
I don't know if I'm not sure that's true.
It's not. I lied.
A little strong. This episode was about many things. We thought it was about simultaneousness, and we talked about that, but we went other places.
We also talked about the future.
Yeah. We talked about boats. A lot of boat analogies. I don't know.
We had two Bens.
You said that.
And I fully recant my former statement.
You recant?
They're not that we had two Bens, but they are phenomenal, both together and alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a delightfully meandering conversation that that really kind of highlights, like we said, people are bigger on the inside, and one of these Bens is pretty big on the outside. But to me, he exemplifies kind of a warrior poet, a man who is about action and contemplation. And we had our surprise Ben. Surprise Ben just walked by and kind of walked in, tried to close the door on us, and we had just invited him in.
And he's an adventurer. He's an adventurer photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all you whistlers, all you readers out there, enjoy the show.
Ben, if you don't want to wear the headphones, you don't have to.
No, I like
some
having
people
that.
like them. Yeah. Okay, lovely.
You like the feedback?
Yeah, and then also I feel like sometimes I'll make sure not to do that when we're recording. But then also, like, if you're not wearing them, interruptions to like a podcast listener, that's more disruptive to them. But then to us, just in normal conversation, like cutting people off at the end of a sentence isn't as strange of a phenomenon.
I agree.
At least that's something I've noticed, like when listening to podcasts.
Yeah. Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorites?
Well, it's really changed a lot over the years. In high school, actually, I lived in Redwood Falls and would commute to MVL, and the bus route would take us through Geving, Winthrop, and Fairfax. It would be about an hour and 15 minute ride in the morning. So I'd wake up super early, and I didn't want to pay for any like music subscription that would let me download it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have unlimited data on my phone, so I'd just listen to podcasts the whole time. And I did the math one time. I think I listened to like 5,000 hours of podcasts.
Oh my goodness.
That's ridiculous.
I'd done it on Spotify. Your Spotify Wrapped would have been insane.
Yeah, but over the course of 3 years.
Right.
But I felt like I got like, sitting in the dark bus, either going to or from school in like the winter, I feel like that was like my cave. Like that was where I was, where I became Ben.
Yeah, that's very liminal. Wow.
Like your cocoon, metamorphosed.
Because it
became jelly inside of there, and then came out a butterfly.
Like it would just be like military history podcasts, like philosophy stuff, history, like all my interests now that kind of gelled.
Yeah.
I think that was a very formative time for me.
Yeah.
You still haven't answered your question.
Well, I got some.
Actual show names?
Sure.
Like a Jocko podcast is one. It's about Jocko Willink.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff.
The Sean Ryan show. There's one I really liked called, it was just Ben and Charlie, but it was two guys who I admired their just kind of thought process. And they talk about like, abstract, like, Immanuel Kant philosophy, and then talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and
that's awesome.
Just kind of like,
that sounds like it hits you right where you are.
So that was fun. And then kind of depending on whatever my interest at the time was. So like bow hunting podcasts, I'd listen to Cam Haines or certain guests on other podcasts. When I was really into like health and fitness and stuff, or kind of like learning about building a routine. There was one called The Genius Life, and Huberman Lab is a big one. That has kind of come out later.
You hosted a podcast, didn't you?
Yeah, at MVL. Yep, that was kind of the impetus behind it, was that I just really liked listening to podcasts, and Ben Lundsten was kind of just a catalyst for whatever you wanted to do. And so Ethan Schiff and I just got like a microphone in a closet, and then we just kind of had our own show.
I think I know that closet.
Yeah. Yep, the one in
that computer lab.
Publishing. Yeah.
That
so we just
weird, like trapezoid shaped space.
Yeah,
maybe that's not the right thing. Strange space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just go in there.
I used to teach that class.
That's right. He was the year before Ben got there, I think, because I was hoping to take it with you actually, but then, I think you left, and then Ben came and took over, and it was really nice to meet him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up being
What
fun.
was your show called?
It was called The Last Bell. So it was like a school themed podcast, kind of a variety show.
Huh. Whistle the Feast.
Whistle the Feast. Do you whistle at all on the podcast?
Not yet.
We should probably start though.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. We have a episode 0 that we keep threatening to not release.
Maybe that's for the best.
Might be for the best. It's 2.5 hours of us trying to figure out what this is called. Kind of a project-based approach.
Lydia was on it, so it was me and Lydia and Jason.
Yeah. Nice. And I bring it up because, I mean, that was great. It was great.
It was crazy.
Lydia's whistle, though, the way that Lydia whistles, I think is significant.
Mm-hmm.
She sounds like a bird.
Huh.
I can tell it's her.
Huh.
When somebody's whistling, I know it's her.
Also, she more or less came up with the title of the whole thing. She came up with the format of it. The format was and the
brilliant.
Final idea was also hers. She she birthed it. It was awesome.
That's true. It was almost Whisper the Feast.
Was it?
Just before.
It was. Yeah.
And then she asked, "Why are we whispering?"
Yeah. And there you have the title.
And there, yeah.
Yeah,
that was quite the episode.
So I can kind of rehearse trying to explain it. I think feast was a big deal for us, mm-hmm. the idea of feast, that there's kind of a hospitality implied, mm-hmm. and that matches kind of the ethos of what we're trying to do here. And whistling is sort of this, it's nonverbal, mm-hmm. and I think often delight-filled. When we think about feast, we're thinking about heaven, and I think we're thinking about kind of a leisure in its best connotation. Mm-hmm. Just a civilized way of being together.
Yeah.
And it's Jason's podcast. He couldn't have had a podcast name that you just get on the first.
The Jason Jaspersen Show.
It would not have been the Jason Jaspersen Show, I don't think.
Yeah.
Before we recorded that episode, I was pretty convinced that it was going to have snorkel in the name.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was sure, and I had a long list of.
That was such a long episode. That's the only reason why it was 2.5 hours. For most of these, we don't really have a game plan of mm-hmm. we know what we want to talk about, but we don't have a objective that we need to complete by the end. For that one, we did. Mm-hmm. And after most of these, I feel pretty oh my goodness, that was fun. But you're thinking a lot, so
Absolutely.
It's energy and stuff. But after that one, I was I need to. That was crazy. It was so fun.
Crazy, I welcome. I'm interested in.
Absolutely.
A little crazy, and I'm interested in. I think what we're doing here, what we want to do is maybe validate something we said maybe in that episode 0, that people are bigger on the inside. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That phrase has been going through my head.
That Neil Gaiman said. I fear we didn't say it.
Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
Sandman.
Sure.
Yeah. That's how I knew him in the 80s.
I fear I don't know what that is.
They call it a comic book.
Come on.
Some say graphic novel. Around Neil Gaiman's time, that late 80s moment of Sandman, that's when graphic novel became a term, actually. As far as I know. I'll probably be proven wrong if this gets published somewhere.
That's okay.
So we are recording.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Jaspersen, and this is Whistle the Feast, joined by co-host Norah Kratz. And right now we've got Ben in the room, and we're looking for our next... Oh,
That reminds me.
Here comes another Ben.
You don't want this door closed?
How about
That's
you?
what I was about to say. Is we need to close that door.
Yeah, you need to close the door.
Well, we're recording.
Yeah.
So step up and say hi.
Yeah.
So now we've got another Ben.
Double Bens.
Got two
Double
Bens.
feature.
And we may be joined by a Brian, but we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it shakes out.
Big Ben and Little Ben.
Yep.
Big Ben, Little Ben.
So we got two Bens.
Medium Brian.
Medium well.
Medium well.
That's how I like my friends.
Wow. I'm trying to figure out how to take that.
Well, it's called Whistle the Feast, so.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to be on brand here.
Yeah.
The readers are used to the readers.
I think we should call them the readers.
That's
The
that's
readers.
pretty good.
Hello, all you
Maybe
whistlers out there.
Hey, readers. Welcome back.
Yeah, we could talk about the fan base as the whistlers.
The Whistlers.
I thought we were gonna do readers.
Hello, readers.
Hello, readers.
Whistle readers.
Whistle
That's what we are. Oh, that would be a
That's
great
weird.
Whistle
title.
Readers.
That's weird.
Maybe we should call it the Whistle Readers.
We already named the podcast. You made pins with the
that
name
can be
on it.
that can be your fan base though. That can be their. Oh, we all shift.
So we were
I
just
know,
we were
I
just
keep
talking
getting
about
jump scared.
Big Ben's podcast,
Oh,
right?
you've got a podcast?
He did.
I did.
You did.
In a
Oh,
strange
you were
shaped
the-
closet.
Oh, that
Catalyst.
podcast. Yeah.
When you were in
boy.
charge.
Yeah. This is right. That was good. Remind me the name.
The Last Bell. Yep.
There it is.
Oh,
There it
wow.
Yeah, I was like, I can picture it. I literally had to imagine your cover art.
Oh, that's right.
To tell
Yeah.
him how.
Color art for it?
Well, so the thing was. Well, do you want to explain it? Like how it operated? Like every year we'd have new hosts, basically.
That's right. Yeah. So it was a kind of a MVL school comedy variety show that we would do, and then there would be different kind of rotating hosts because you're not in the class for more than 2 years unless something goes horribly wrong with your education. And so it was Ethan and myself. We started it, and then next year was Walter Grubbs, and then I guess I don't really know who.
Nick Pleiss had it one year. It was
Oh, of
Nick
course.
and I can't remember who else was with him. But what we did is every year then we had one of our art students illustrate the cover. So there was always like character illustrations of them. It's really fun.
That is
really, really fun.
Wow.
Still out there? We
Oh,
can
it's still,
find the
I'm pretty
archive?
sure it's on Spotify.
How long was each episode?
Depend, usually around half hour, 20
That's
minutes
so
to half
fun.
hour. And I think my favorite segment we ever did was called Muscles and Muscles. And we would have student athletes eat like the canned muscled seafood while we asked them questions, kind of like Hot Ones. But it was just
That's so
disgusting
funny.
canned like
That was
Muscles.
very good.
Yeah.
That's
very
beautiful.
And we wanted it to be kind of weird too. Like that was very on brand for our sense of humor and style and everything too. So like
Muscles and muscles. And it was just audio? Like there was
no video, just the audio come on. And so maybe
Did you hear them eat?
Oh yeah, kind of a little. There were
Probably,
there were mouth
Yeah.
sounds if that's
Quasi
what you
ASMR
there,
podcast.
there it is.
Look at the art is so good.
Oh,
That's
wow.
adorable. Is that Nick?
that's amazing.
I
Is that
think
the Nick one?
Daniel and Josiah.
I think
Oh.
Maida did the art when it was Ben.
Really?
Did she?
I think
That seems
Oh,
right.
that's cool.
That's awesome.
That's so
I remember it. I recall.
Yeah. I'll have to print out a thing of that. I don't know. Put it somewhere in my apartment or something.
Cool. Yeah, frame it probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't want to intrude on whatever you had planned. So
yeah,
I
but
can,
we want you to,
Oh,
right? Because that's kind of the way it is.
okay. Well,
Also, if Pro Fake Klebig doesn't.
that's true.
I
How about this? If he shows up, I'll just tap out. It's like
Yeah.
wrestling, right? Like,
Right,
I'll just,
WrestleMania, yeah.
Tag
I'll
team
just- a
podcast.
tag team. I'll tap out. He'll come in. It'll
That
be
sounds
great.
awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so I told Ben this. I didn't tell the other Ben. I told Tall Ben. I didn't tell other Ben. The topic:
Yeah.
simultaneousness in theology and art.
Mm.
Yeah. So kind of marinate with that for a couple
Yeah.
of
Just
seconds
I'll
here.
be back in half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an example might be the artwork that Norah recently did.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain that?
It's Ben. Did you see that?
I don't
You
believe
saw
so.
that. Okay, I can show you. I think I officially named it Simultaneousness et Peccator, or simultaneously sinner and saint. And it's a self-portrait, which was an interesting and fun experience. I painted myself in my style, which I guess is I tried to be realistic, and then the rest of it is based on a Byzantine icon.
Whoa.
So thank you.
Yeah.
And then like kind of gold foil, and it was trying to just outline. Jaksyn will get a picture up for us. Oh wait. No, it's audio only. Okay. Well, the figure
Could link to it.
has their head in their hands. Yeah. That's a great point.
But keep going.
Has their head in their hands, and then the rest of it is kind of done in that very like gilded icon style, and so it was supposed to be a dichotomy between sinner and saint. I think it's fairly self-explanatory in that way. I think even if you don't understand the Latin that's written at the bottom, you can understand what's going on in the painting, which
amazing,
I think is
yeah.
good.
Did you come to that before or after you went to Italy? I don't remember.
I never went to Italy.
That's right.
I'm getting there. I'm gonna get there eventually.
Sorry, I had the wrong sister.
That's totally fine. And you've got Italy on the brain because you're doing that whole. You're getting all your footage together and
Italy's up there somewhere.
I'm gonna get there eventually.
It's beautiful though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So that's informing the theme for today.
I think that's a piece of it. So that phrase we hear from Martin Luther, he helps us kind of sit in between extremes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one case where his theology, it helps us understand that it's possible for us to be both simultaneously, just like we believe that Jesus is 100% God, 100% man. We believe that Jesus' body and blood is in, with, and under the bread and wine. These things are 100% what they are simultaneously. And there are belief systems that can't abide by that,
Which I love. Like it's awesome because it's radical. It's like, sorry, you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself over to it.
That stance, right, is a particular way of looking at all of this information. So that's a piece, right? That's a piece of what I want to think about. But recently I've been realizing how sculpture operates. Here's what I have so far regarding that. I'm a sculptor, and we have some connections on this sculpture. Ben was a model for the ELS military memorial. So when I show people that sculpture or any sculpture, it's dawning on me that it broadcasts in all directions at all times. It's an inanimate hunk of metal. It's just sitting there, and it doesn't actually do anything, but also I watch people's attention sort of like open up, and they have realizations. I've kind of planted Easter eggs in it, and there are design decisions in it that aren't immediately obvious. And so it's a strange thing that this thing just sits there and does nothing, but then like the experience of viewing it, it's like something is changing. Well, let's break down that experience. You come at it from whichever direction you come at it, nobody sort of determines what you see first. There's so many possible first contacts. So it's a nonlinear experience. So many other expressions. I'm trying to think of a nonlinear expressive medium. Right? So film is linear, dance is linear.
Music is linear.
Literature.
Well, you've helped me understand this though. Like even watching, for the lack of a better term, a layman interact with a sculpture versus other forms of artwork, it's different. Like I love coming out of Bethany late at night. Maybe not love, because I probably shouldn't be here that way, but I'm here late, and seeing people walking, like even in the evening, and they're like stopping and they're interacting with it, or going to lunch in the middle of the day and there's some random group of people gathered around it or have stopped by. Whereas paintings, you can just breeze by. You can take it all in a second, and you're like, there it is. That's the fruit basket. And if you don't care any more than that, you've got enough base information that there's no exploration that's needed beyond that if you're not remotely curious. Whereas like sculpture kind of invites you in, and it's like, okay, I gotta at least see it from all the sides. Okay, well now I also got to figure out what's going on over there, and you get closer. And so, yeah, I've been recognizing that it engages the general public on a level that other art doesn't.
I think that's part of the spectacle aspect of it too. People can recognize that it took a lot of effort to make too, and like it's a very impressive feat of seeing the metal cast in that way too, in a different way that maybe like a snapshot or like a picture or something. Like you can look at it and kind of instantly compartmentalize it, and your mind will tell you what you see. Like maybe it's a picture of a chair or something, and then it's a chair, and your mind can just like block that away. But with something that imposing, you look at it and you kind of have to appreciate it, because it's almost larger than life. When you're looking at it too, you kind of see it as more than just a box your mind can recognize, and you have to explore a little bit.
Yeah, there's that scrambling feature that you can't see it. You can see what you see from your angle. That's the simultaneousness that I'm getting at, that it's sort of radiating, and you can't quite get it. To photograph it is an approximation, but it's only like 1 out of 360 degrees if
right.
We're going to accept.
You would need 3D print, right? A 3D print could be a photograph in a sense, right? Of like an accurate representation.
But then you have the same problem. To look at the 3D print, your perception
right
only takes in one plane of
correct.
view.
You still can't get it all. Yeah.
So it hides, and it reveals itself. And that nature has just dawned on me, that the simultaneousness, like maybe there's something in the character of Lutheran theology that is in common with the character of fine art. We've been talking about sculpture, but a painting, a photo, a sculpture, they have this kind of come as you are, experience this in the order that you experience it kind of character to it, the nonlinear expression. So I've been wondering if maybe that's because when you have to try to deliver these 2-in-1 kind of theology concepts, right? We kind of stumble around with words. Is there something that overlaps more? I've got a Christus Paradox painting that, it attempts to try to express Jesus' glory and humiliation being one person.
Well, I think the Vatican does this very well. Not the Vatican, sorry. St. Peter's Basilica does this really well. Like, as you're talking and I'm imagining your sculpture out there, I'm also thinking about the incredible Bernini sculptures inside of the building, right? And they're massive. They're larger than life. But no matter what you do, you can't see the backside of them, right? So that's a even more controlled experience of a sculpture where I can still move like radial around left to right, but because it's up so high and it's at such an angle that I can't see it from above, I can't see it from behind, I can't get up close. So yeah, there's like something crazy mysterious about that too, where it's just this thing that's up there, and no matter how hard you try, unless you work there and you're lucky and you get to be on a lift because a light bulb went out or you're fixing something, I can't do anything to get a different perception of this sculpture. I'm like locked in.
Yeah. And the point is that maybe that has potential as a meaning.
Well, right. That's what exactly. Like here's these figures, right? Like here's Paul on the pages. I can read what Paul said, and I can think about who Paul was, and I can imagine what it would have been like and what he maybe, but like, it's only his words. No matter how hard I try, I can't see Paul and touch Paul and really know what Paul was thinking. I can try and unpack it, but like that sculpture that's up there, I can kind of see it, but I don't really see all of it. And no matter how hard I try, I'll never see all of it because it's impossible. But that's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of beautiful. I'm careful that we don't disparage. We're a people of the Word, right? And there's a primacy in the Word. Sometimes, though, I just wonder if that becomes an either or. Mm-hmm. And I get a little concerned that the vocation that I happen to be in, I wonder if it gets muscled out.
And either or is counterintuitive to simultaneousness.
Exactly.
Binary.
It's right there. It's in the DNA.
You mentioned something that's fascinating too, is the Lutheran nature of theology and simultaneousness, and then also sculpture too, in terms of approachability to like the common man, to the layperson. That's kind of at the very essence of Luther's intention behind posting the 95 Theses, was to bring it back, and then eventually translating the Bible into German, into the language of the people too, and making something that your average person off the street could understand. And maybe with sculpture too, that's a way you could express those deep philosophical, theological concepts that maybe, speaking a different language would prohibit you from understanding, versus some things are maybe bigger than words, or maybe a person could understand like something if they saw it, but when they try to explain it, there isn't the language to really wrap your head around it, and makes it more difficult than it needs to be.
Well, it feels like the physical reality of our faith like lies on us to explore, right? Like God chose words, Yeah. Yeah, Jesus was here for a bit, but he chose words. And so it's for us to struggle with, okay, but when Jesus was here, you go through all the miracles, and he was very particular about touching all of the senses, right? Like taking the mud and putting it on the eyes. Doesn't he touch someone's tongue? Yeah. Like spitting, right? Like you start going through all the miracles, and it's like there's sight, there's sound, there's smell, there's touch. So like while he was here, he was very clear about attacking all the senses. And now maybe that's our responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about, I've used this a couple of times lately, the idea of I am the vine, you are the branches, not as like a Bible passage, but as a format of how to understand different things. So using the idea of God's word as the vine and our expressions as the branches. And I use that with my painting, my simultaneous painting as well, because I was thinking that I was going to do other ones, and I haven't yet, but I might, of saying like, I might do other paintings like this, expressing simultaneousness in other parts of my life, but this is the main, this is the most important thing. So like the original simultaneousness of being a sinner and a saint is the vine, and then the branches are other ways that I have simultaneousness in my life. And so I think that maybe that could apply here as well with what we're saying about the word and then our expressions of it, of God's word being divine.
I see.
Bernini's statue is the branches.
Yeah, right. The word is primary,
mm-hmm.
and then there are other possible offshoots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it inspires those things. Like you think about music. What does music lead to? Dance.
Yeah.
Like the musicians make the music, and then good music inspires good dance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the beautiful act of dance comes because of the music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that music might come from a piece of literature.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I read something recently about the untranslatability of art forms, of mediums. The concept is that, dance exists because it's the only thing that can do certain things the way it does. And poetry exists because it is unique in its sort of what it can deliver. And sometimes we get convinced we're in error when we think that we can put it all into words. That's just another medium.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with some high school students. I was at Mankato Christian Academy doing a photo exercise, and I did this when I taught high school at MVL, but I basically just destroy a photo's worth 1,000 words. Like, it's exactly that, right? Like, that is the most false statement, because a photo is worth 0 words. It's a photo. It's doing something that words can't. It can enhance a story. Like, photo and words together actually make something new, right? Yeah. That words can't just do and photos can't just do. So there's actually power in that, but a photo's not worth 1,000 words. And I prove it. There's a really great photograph by the photographer David Seymour. He goes by Chim. World War II had ended. UNICEF hires him. First photographer ever hired by UNICEF. He goes and covers the results of World War II on kids specifically. So he's going to orphanages, whatever. And there's this haunting photo of this girl at a blackboard, and there's just scribbles behind her. But out of context, it's like a girl at a blackboard. So I have the students, I say, okay, photo's worth 1,000 words. Grab your pencil, grab your paper, write me a 1,000-word essay on the who, what, when, where, why of this picture. And it should probably be accurate, because a photo, if it's worth 1,000 words, it means it's communicating something pretty clearly. And they're just like, well, I can't, I don't know. And so that kind of proves the point. And then we unpack the story, and you find out that those scribbles, that was her drawing home. And then that like ruins you. It like wrecks you, right? Where like you're looking at this girl she's breaking the fourth wall. She's looking at the camera, and you realize, oh, those aren't just scribbles. That's home, and she went through World War II, and you're like, oh man. Yeah. But the photo on its own is good, but without that context, you don't necessarily get the full picture. But if you had just read that in writing, it might not move you to tears, but then you see the picture, you have the words, and all of a sudden, it hits you.
This is interesting because this actually got brought up, I think, last time we were doing this, when we were talking to Benji and Alyssa Aniger and Allison Rigg. Just like different mediums exist for a reason. And also when you translate between different mediums, it's like you're translating between languages. Like you'll have something of the same, but it's a different language now. Like it is different. It is going to be different. You're speaking a different language. We talked about that for a little bit. It was really interesting.
Another good example is, I can't think of the photographer's name right now. I've got his book in my office, but we have our national parks because of photography. So Yellowstone exists because of photography. So on the East Coast, they're ready to just plow through the country and develop everything. And people had been bringing the message back that Yellowstone is magical. They're like, there's this magical area, and no one could, like, even though they were beautifully describing it, and even though there were paintings of it, like no matter what, people are like, I don't know, like, because that painting, are you embellishing a little bit? Yeah. Like it can't look that good. And like, yeah, you can tell me about it. But this photographer went out and he just documented the whole area, and then they sent those photos back, and they're like, oh crap. Yeah, we can't develop this. Like this is something. And it literally turned into the national park system, because they went, whoa, there's something going on here. Like we have crazy landscape. What if we protected it? But that didn't happen until the images were introduced, because they did something that nothing else could.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Perfect example.
That's amazing. And it's been really frustrating a little bit recently to kind of recognize that fact, to have been doing a lot of writing recently. I just finished a first draft of a fiction military thriller novel, but trying to, in my head when I started out to write it, like compete with all the movies that I'd seen. And that was like my frame of reference, and trying to express like the movie in my head, and realizing like, okay, this is a different medium. I need to tap into the benefits and the things you can do that you can't do in a movie, like thoughts. You can express thoughts and emotions and feelings, and a character can have like an internal soliloquy much differently than someone can in a movie when you can't actually express like their point of view besides through like what they're physically doing in their body and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a quote by Louis L'Amour is his name, and he says to read is to possess a second soul. And it's kind of true because it's like it's one of the only mediums you can be inside someone else's head.
Yeah.
Which is really,
it's
interesting.
Yeah. It's an instant empathy tool. Mm-hmm. That's my father-in-law's favorite author.
Really?
Louis L'Amour.
He's
yeah.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But I think that's exactly why too people get frustrated when like the movie's not like the book. I'm like, dude, they're different languages.
Yeah.
They're different. It's not supposed to be, right? Like I want those people.
It's actually not possible.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. It is not perfectly translatable. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Right. So.
And then like the book exists.
Yeah. So
now you got two.
Right.
Right. That's what
Like
I say.
if you're going to translate a book into a film that's just like the book, you've just made a book.
Right. Well, that's where we could go down the rabbit hole of like I get really upset with like the Disney remakes, like the How to Train Your Dragon's coming out.
Oh.
Every single shot in that is exactly like the animated movie. So at the end of the day, you're like, you already have an animated movie. We already have this.
Awesome.
So it's like it's not even an extreme enough translation to warrant it. You know, like going from book to movie, that's good. Like
yeah, but
Hitchcock.
maybe that's just iteration.
That's true. If it gets better though, like shouldn't iteration make something better?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
so.
and
otherwise
oftentimes
don't iterate.
Yeah, and oftentimes it doesn't. But I was going to ask you, Ben, because I know you're into like thrillers and stuff like that. Have you gone and like read the Rambo books?
Yes, David Morrell. I love David Morrell, and I actually just recently listened to
Jack Carr's interview with him.
I did, and I was assuming that's where you had maybe heard of him too recently, or
oh yeah, well, and because I was thinking about that translation process, right? Like Rambo's a book. It's also a pretty fun movie. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for you as someone who's writing, you know, have you dove into that process of like comparing and contrasting? Like go watch the movie and read the book and be like, whoa, what are the differences? And then reverse engineer that because you have a movie in your head and go, okay, there's a movie in here and how do I turn a movie into a novel?
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, it was kind of crazy. When I was reading the book, I was at a leadership conference in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and the sergeant major of the Army was there.
What?
Like, you know, he's usually out with the Joint Chiefs of Staff in D.C., and he was there, and I was like in line to go and we could like shake his hand and stuff. And I thought about asking for him to autograph my copy of First Blood by David Morrell. And then last second I chickened out and I didn't do it. But I wish I would have, because that would have just been kind of cool, because he was a Green Beret and in special mission units and stuff. But yeah, like comparing and contrasting with the movie, and they're both phenomenal, but you know, very different too. And I think, you know, the movie is kind of maybe more of a popcorn action movie, and the book is, you know, kind of a conflict between generations of different wars and young versus old, and like father and son, exploring those relationships like that. But I wondered too, the approachability of different mediums is something I've been thinking about a lot recently too, in terms of the time it takes to consume them. And in my head, I've been thinking about it too in terms of like almost like frames, like just the more frames there are to something, like I guess this wouldn't technically work if you were thinking about a movie, but like a spectrum between like a TikTok and then like a TV show episode and then a movie and then a book, in terms of like just the amount of layers to a thing, and the kind of the trickling down of the audience, and the having time to really sit with it too.
So you see like an inverse relationship and accessibility there?
Yeah, a little bit, I think, because, you know, there's some books that I've read that have been very phenomenal, but it's tougher to convince someone to sink, you know, 8 hours in versus 2 hours to watch a movie, 45, you know, to 20 minutes to watch a TV show, and then a video you could send and someone can watch in less than a minute too.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's like, that plays into the linear, non-linear thing too, because you know when you've finished a linear expression. The credits are rolling, or you ran out of pages, song's over. But with a work of art, you have no indication. Like you're just sort of free falling into, what does this mean? And I think that makes some people uncomfortable. I see people in the museum like, approaching a wall and then like ignoring the artwork, moving straight to the words. Show me a label, give me something to think. I think that, so that's a really interesting idea about that accessibility. Maybe it's about investment. How much am I going to have to invest of myself?
That's interesting. Yeah, and then looking at a painting, there's no one to tell you when to be done or when to move on to the next one. And so you could spend all day looking really closely at the brush strokes, and then more carefully taking a step back and taking it all in, contextualizing it. Maybe looking at like a series of paintings, or you could kind of walk through all the rooms and try to see everything all at the same time.
Yeah, I wonder how that relationship plays out with lasting power, like repeat view power.
I was just thinking about this. Like, this is what movies are excellent at. Like a really great movie, you'll watch it when you're 14 and you get, and a really good movie has, a 14-year-old and their parent and the grandparent or something, where it's like you can come at it through all the stages of your life, and now it brings a whole new meaning each time you hit that stage. And so what I kind of like about that is you're like locked out for a bit. Like there's some movies out there that are just like Chief Brody and Jaws, right? I maybe showed my kids Jaws a little too early. They love it. I watched it when I was too young and I loved it. But like when you're watching it as a kid, who are you? You're the kids. You're the kids in the water and you're terrified. And there's that scene with Chief Brody's son and the shark's coming right at him, but then it goes past him. And I remember as a kid, like I was so terrified that like I couldn't even move. I was right? But now I watch it and now I'm Chief Brody. Right now I'm like the dad protecting his son and protecting the other people and totally being locked in there. And it's like, eventually I'm going to be,
the shark.
The shark.
Eventually.
If I play my cards right, I'll be the shark. No, I can't think of the dude's name. The gruff old sailor dude, right? Quint, I think.
I only know, what's his last name? He's got a crazy last name, right?
Yeah, something. But I'll probably feel like him when I'm 60.
Yeah.
The curmudgeon-y old, like, these youngsters, I'll do it myself and I'll do it the right way. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's like, talk about like simultaneousness in art. I think that's what Ben's describing, and I think that's also what we're describing with the gallery experience, is that a painting or a movie is what it is, and then it's also whatever you experience it as every time that you experience it.
That's what you're bringing to it.
That's the crazy phenomenon. Like your attention actually unfolds these things. Mm-hmm. That continues to baffle me.
Like the interaction is part of the art.
And your lived experience is an important aspect of that.
Mm-hmm. Super important.
Like with photography, one of the things like in that exercise that I do with students is like, if I use an example of Ethiopian Christians. There's this photographer that has this awesome series where they literally have churches on like mountain cliffs, like the edges of mountains where you're like, I don't even know where you'd step. It just looks like a straight drop cliff face, and there's a hole in the cliff, and there's a church in there, right? And so the point was to show I showed a whole photo series. I didn't give them any context. I said, okay, what is who, what, when, where, why? Let's go with the general basics. What is this about? And there was a student that unpacked it. It was like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's Ethiopia, and it's a church, which you can get through the context, right? But it's like, okay, how'd you know Ethiopia? He's like, well, I studied this, and the Ethiopian church is really like there's a strong Christian presence, and so they obviously look like it's arid and they're black. So I just went, they're probably somewhere in Africa. Okay, cool. Where do I know in Africa? And so he brought that. No one else brought that. No one else got Ethiopia from the pictures. They were all lost. So it's also about you.
Yeah, your contents participate.
Yeah,
in the meaning.
Heavily.
When you first mentioned simultaneousness in art and stuff too, I also thought of point of view, because as humans we're kind of single point of view people, and then with respect to mediums, there's some like we've talked about, like photography and like literature, movies, those are very much framed in the sense that like it's kind of one point of view, versus when you were talking about sculpture, that's, you know, infinite points of view. You can, as many different places you can stand and stuff too. And the only other real spiritual being that has more than one point of view is God, because he's omniscient and he's, or omnipotent, and is like everywhere at the same time. And so maybe there's kind of that like superseding reality element of it a little bit too, where you're kind of stepping outside of it, versus like for us, we have to perceive reality through time and space and one mind and stuff like that, versus God can, you know, he sees everything simultaneously, and we are just kind of on one linear, I guess, track through life.
Right. And I think that's what's so encouraging sometimes about the different the paradoxes in Lutheran theology, especially, of like, if I understood this, I don't know, like, is that God then? Why on earth would I understand it if it,
to think that he fits in your box
is like literally contradictory to the idea of a God, I think. Like, if I understand it, I don't know about that. And I don't think that, I don't know. I think that's just another.
Do you like like when you're working on something like you're painting, do you view it more as an expression? Are you trying to understand something? Are you trying to, you know, pull at one of those threads that you can't understand, and that's your process? Or is it more of just, I don't know, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like what's lying underneath that painting as far as your intentions when it comes to God being.
Yeah. Wow. I think that it ended up being both, because I think originally it just occurred to me as like, this is a concept that we literally cannot understand with our brains, or as I saw it in writing, like, you are simultaneous, simul justus et peccator. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You can't be both of those things at once. And I think that the idea, like, literally the image was the first thing that popped in my head, is like, it was like solving a problem, like a math problem almost, and being like, oh, this does it. Like, that's simultaneous. Like, that's showing both of them. That helps me understand this. And so I think that's what I started out with, is no question as to, like, what I was trying to explain. I just knew that this was another way of understanding it. But as I started painting it, I am so blessed to be at Bethany, but also to have people that will come up and ask about, like, what I'm doing and ask about my work, which is so cool and such an amazing thing. And I think that when people do that, I started to understand it less and less. And especially when people ask you, like, what are you doing? It's like, oh my goodness, I have to explain what I'm doing now. Like, it's such a
you figured it out in one medium.
Yeah, and I would say that figuring it out is not even like, that's being generous.
But you just said, oh, this does it, right?
Yeah.
And I have had that feeling, like, whoop, that one, hold on to that. But that doesn't mean you can explain it.
Yeah, exactly. And the more people I talked to and the more people asked me about it, made me realize how much I didn't explain it. And it ended up being kind of this, as I was painting and as people would come and talk to me about it, it would just be more and more of like, I don't know about this, which is a good thing, I think.
It's also the Dunning-Kruger effect, you know?
Maybe.
Like, you don't know, and then you start to know a little bit, and then you're like, I think I got it. And then the more you explore it, the more you fall back into, realize, I know nothing. Yes. Actually, I got nothing at all.
So startling.
Yeah.
Over the years, artists have dealt with that phenomenon in different ways. So some will explain thoroughly. You know, they'll be like a companion, a tour guide book, you know, how to understand my work. But somebody like Andy Warhol will just, like, remain cryptic.
David Lynch.
He'll just say nothing.
Jason Jaspersen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. The ambiguity is I guess something to develop a stance on.
You're really, really inviting interaction then.
Yeah. Right. The question from the artist standpoint is, do I want this to be resolved in your mind? Or do I want you to continue to engage with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you make something like that, you're presenting the viewer with like a problem of what is this or what does it mean. And I think when you give them more context, you're giving them more tools to solve the problem. And when you don't, you're not giving them as many tools. But I think in the end, the thing is it can't be solved. And so it doesn't, it just doesn't matter one way or another.
I just read about Edward Hopper. Edward Hopper, painter, he's definitely got a vibe. There's a kind of a quiet loneliness to everything he makes. And, he would tell people, they'd ask him, what's it about? Can you explain this? And he'd say, well, it's all there. It's in the canvas. Mm-hmm. And that's an approach. You can just say, well, there it is. I said what I'm going to say.
I wonder, too, if people, as they mature and grow as artists as well, too, maybe start out trying to have answers and have a definitive vision for something. And then the deeper they explore and the more they kind of understand the universe, like you were saying with the Dunning-Kruger effect, realize there's more ambiguity and there's more room for just kind of like, this is what I'm putting out there.
Not knowing. Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
I mean, I think still pretty young, so I think I maybe need to learn more before I know how much I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing, so yeah, I mean, if you don't know who I am, I'm a photographer.
If you could get from how much you've spoken about photos.
But I keep thinking, because I love the philosophy of it. Photography, I think, is a medium that is like best friends with philosophy, because it is so, the final product is just, it is what it is on its face, right? Like even more so than a painting.
Yeah.
Right? A painting we talked about, you can go about brushstroke and color choice and like all these things, and you can get down to the nitty gritty. Like a photo is, that's the street in Paris. Okay. Cartier-Bresson has a lot of photos of the street, but there's also something like magical about the composition. It's not, I'm not intellectually wondering like, is that a railing? Is that a bicycle? I wonder what the geographical like pin location on Google Maps, like it's not about those questions. It's about like how this guy get in the right place at the right time and see this thing and do that. And when you read the writings of good photographers, it just reads like philosophy, right? Because I'm trying to think like there's not very many of them that describe their photos. They don't talk about the meaning behind this, or this is what's in this. It's more about the thing that got them into the position to take the photo. Why did I go there? Or why do I focus on this?
Yeah.
Would you say it's a way of life?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. And I think poetry is also closely related to photography in that way. Like poetry, philosophy, photography, all kind of have that about them, right? Like we're
kind of have to be all in.
Yeah, because you come to a poem and you're like, well, this isn't a book. What is this about? Like, what am I? It's like, is it just about the wordplay? Is it about the way the words look on the page, and the cadence when you read it out loud? Maybe I don't know.
And the answer is usually maybe.
Right.
That's a really beautiful way to look at the world too, and like, it's outside of your head too. You're looking for beauty in things, or looking for expressing something that you see. But it's so cool that it's like
photography. You're talking about photography.
And I suppose poetry, all the ones you just mentioned, but you're kind of externalizing. You're looking for like plentiful beauty outside of you, which is really cool.
Painting can be the same though, but I think I'm just trying to find distinctions.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like with photography, you're almost capturing something. Like it's a particular moment in time too that you're drawing attention to.
Yeah, Cartier-Bresson has.
I suppose painting, I guess you could do that too, but like, it's like one instant because the shutter has to.
Well, it's it's the most perfect paragraph ever written on photography, and I should just get it tattooed to my arm so I can
Probably
recall it whenever I need.
Or on your palm.
But on my right. Like, hang on, let me check my notes. But it is just that good though. It's like it's one of those. It's so good that I'm like, I don't need to ever write anything. This is it. This is the perfect. This is the perfect thing that just. And that's why when I have my art show, I just put his quote up there. It's like I'll write a little bit. He says everything that I feel. Why I don't have the strong desire to write it again in my own words.
Yeah.
It's like, there it is. This guy's got it. Mm-hmm. So,
and you can be a conduit for those words. Get them out to more people.
Oh, exactly. And then, yeah. Do you guys ever struggle with this? Like just the fact that you're just another artist? I don't anymore, but I used to, you know, maybe I don't struggle as much right now cause I'm not making anything. But when I was deep in it and making stuff all the time, I was like, what am I doing? And I think talking about being a conduit, this is where this is coming from, is like I started telling myself I'm just in conversation with these artists. It's just an ongoing conversation, and I'm jumping in and I'll say my little bit and I'll get out and someone else is going to be a part of the conversation. And that put me at ease, I guess.
Instead of competition with them.
Right. Or trying to justify yourself somehow. Like, you don't justify a great conversation with a friend. Mm-hmm. You just have it. You know, it's not a business meeting. It's not a line item, a good conversation. It's like, all right, so it's not about making money or doing what. It's like I'm just having a conversation with all these guys and gals that I respect. And yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds like a C.S. Lewis quote from in Mere Christianity. He talks about the debate of theology as like just a conversation in a room, and some people come and then they go, and new people come and enter and they go. And it's this ongoing conversation that's just been being had for, you know, thousands of years at this point, especially like within Christianity too, of like all the different denominations and Catholicism and Protestantism. But it's just a big room of people kind of talking, and nobody's been there since the beginning. It's just people continuously talking about it. But that's a cool way to think of it too, because it's more of a fellowship than it is a hierarchy or a competition.
So interesting because in my college writing 1 class, I think it was just like college writing 1, like everyone has to take it. We read a book, and of course I don't know what it's called, but it describes one chapter on argument or just like persuasion. I mean, like that's an extremely recognized thing. If she starts out with being like, do not approach like a conversation or a discussion as like an argument or in an aggressive, like imagine it literally exactly how you described that. You are walking into a room and you have to wait a little bit to understand what the people are talking about. And once you've waited a little bit, you can start adding in your own stuff. And that's how like a discussion should be approached as compared to jumping in with no information or as anything other than a conversation, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's so cool. You guys just found that on your own, but it's like it's very much like a studied thing. That's awesome.
Maybe they took the same class.
Maybe they did.
Yeah. We're all older than you.
They're pretty. Everyone's really smart though. You guys totally could have done that on your own.
So you kind of perked up when I said that. Is that, Jason, something you've struggle with currently?
Well, no, I have a moment. You just brought me to a moment when I was in college, and I remember being in a used bookstore in the Twin Cities. Mm-hmm. Cool place, right? Used bookstores are cool places, just every time.
Yes.
I think it's
100% recommend.
Required by law that they have to be cool.
So I'm here with cool friends at this cool place, and then I always go to the art section. That's what I do. I go to the art section. And I get there, and it's like floor to ceiling all around me. Just books and books and books. Okay. So at first I think candy shop. Yes, cool. Mm-hmm. And then I'm looking like, I don't know that name. I don't know that name. I don't know that name. That one I know. I know that one. Okay. Here's like some that I know. I know I'm in the right section. This is the art section. But look at all these books about people that I've never heard of. Now this is Dunning-Kruger, you know, it's like, well, okay, I find out that I don't know that much about art. But the emotional effect of that was like, oh, well, all these people I've never heard of, they have books about them. And look at them all. And this is just one shop. It's one corner of one shop. And like, there's this massive information about people I've never heard of. So yeah, like one stance on that would be, oh, there's a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But the effect on me at that moment was like, oh man, like, what am I going to
I'm insignificant.
How do I even measure up? Nobody's going to make a book about me, you know?
Yeah.
And so Bill Bukowski might hear this episode, but I'm gonna quote him. I remember he was working on his fresco in the Meyer Hall Math and Science building when it was brand new, and I was basically teaching art camp for him in the summer because he was busy painting fresco. Long days for like a month, and he had an assistant with him for a month, so he had to hit his deadline. He had to work while he could. So I asked him, how's it going? And he was so tired. He kind of slumped and said, you know, it's hard to realize you're not Michelangelo. Well, you know, Bill was my hero. He made me an artist. And that's been ringing in my memory since that moment. What, it's going on 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then he follows it up. He says, maybe you're like a Signorelli or something like that. Another artist that maybe influenced Michelangelo. So that moment is kind of like that bookstore moment.
Yeah.
Where like you just run into like your expectations, and then like you got to wrestle with reality a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's the reality of what you're doing, and like the real reality of like us making digital pixels of a thing, and then they live on a hard drive, and they might go to, you know, like what am I like? That for me was it. Susan Sontag kind of ruined me. She's an author. She has a book called On Photography, and it gets real dense real quick, but it gets into like, what are you doing? Like, what is the act of photography? And then, you know, it's she's already writing in the 70s about how there's too many pictures and everyone has a camera, and has it lost all meaning because now everyone's a photographer. And it's like she's dealing with that in the 70s, and here I am in, you know, 2012 reading this going, oh crap, why did I?
It's even worse.
Yeah, it's like, why did I pick the thing that everyone's doing, you know? And it so for young artists out there, do be careful, you know, like it ruined me for a while. I had a couple of years where I was just like, what am I doing? You know? Well, and it wasn't the am I going to be obscure? It was just the why of it all. Even
sure, is this whole field worth it?
Yeah.
The tricky thing is you never know, because like you might be significant, or influence is a wild thing to think about. What you do, you don't really control how it affects other people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what that does.
And even if it's not at the scale of someone like Michelangelo, it could still mean a lot to some people. Like for Bill Bukowski, for you, and I think for Ben, for you, for me, when I was in desktop publishing, like that was very impactful because it was kind of the first time a teacher had like said, you want to do that? Just do it. Like you can just do that. Here's a resource to do that. You can just do that. And then I came to college too, and like I felt that moment of inadequacy because I wasn't even, well, and I think I still do to a certain extent, but like I was talking to all these artistic people doing these very cool things and wasn't really even an artist, and was like, well, I have ideas, I think things too, and would like to be expressive, but I don't even have like a medium, and I'm not, it's not that I even have a medium and I'm bad at it, it's like I don't even know where to start. And so for me that was really kind of cool because it was like I realized that I wanted to do that and to be expressive, and I think I've kind of found it now. But then I ran into the thing you were talking about, which is the publishing industry is like you know, not as profound as it used to be, and you know it's even more difficult to get published, you know, and talking to authors and stuff too, like it can be difficult to get book deals and everything's visual and digital nowadays. And so to try to get published is difficult, but I guess I would ask you then too, like, how did you come out of that?
Yeah.
It was really apparent that it wasn't up to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just like had to make. I just loved photography. It's like it was a default, and I just had to make stuff.
Not a choice.
It really didn't feel like it eventually. Where I'm like, I tried other things and I dipped into other stuff, and it just kept coming back, and nothing felt as good. You know, like when you're. I think it's the Lutheran. I don't know. We're kind of shy of having beautiful, good things, or being like, oh wow, I really love that. Well, it must be bad for you then, right? Like that tastes awesome. It's probably bad for you. And it's like, yeah, no. There's no thing that I do when I'm do meaning like work or something that feels as good as photography. That's just it. And I've tried a bunch, and so it just came down to that. It's like, well, it's not a bad thing. I'm actually oftentimes helping people through it. So just like give in and be like, all right, screw it. I actually don't care. I don't care what the meaning is anymore. And I don't have to be like Susan Sontag. And I can just make beautiful things. Actually, another photographer got me out of it. Alex Soth, he's a Minnesotan photographer. And I got to track down where this quote is, because I'm pretty sure it was him. It was maybe a podcast interview. But he just said he viewed photography like flowers. Mm-hmm. It's like no one says there's too many flowers. Like, oh no, not another patch of flowers. It's like, look at that, it's beautiful. It's on the side of the road, right next to that dead deer carcass, but there's some beautiful flowers, and then they're at your grandma's place, and then like, no one's ever complaining. So it's the same thing with photos. Like, no one's ever going to complain. There's too many beautiful pictures.
I think my question for you guys would then be like, because now looking at it, I think right now anyways, I haven't slipped into that. Not why, or not even like, will it matter? But I think there's this, when I hear you guys talk about that, it's like, I'm not really concerned about whether people like know about my stuff or not. I just want to do this for my job. Like, I just don't. And to me, you guys are on the other side of that. Like, you've gone into the workforce and you're doing it. Like, you did it. And it's like, I'm not there yet. And I don't know if I will be there. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to do, like, painting for my job or writing. Because, that would be great, too. And there's this, like, that's pretty scary of, like, what if I have to do something I hate because I can't, like, I can't, like, it just won't work.
Well, I think there's a few things. Right now, you are imagining a future.
That's true.
So you're
always.
You're talking about something that you don't have enough complexity. You can't know.
Yeah.
All the factors, right? But I think there's something in what Ben just said about it's very right for you to paint. Like, I don't know how it feels for you to paint, but you're an excellent painter. And it's okay to know that about yourself, right? And you were super motivated last summer to just paint, to like just learn portraits by almost brute force. Like, you're just going to go. You're going to get it. Well, I don't know where that motivation comes from, but that's not nothing, So I am getting around to the point, but that's central. There's something beyond strategy or something outside of strategy that informs how you live your life. So when you're asking about, will there be a job, and we're on the other side of it, the reality, when I look backwards, you're looking forwards, I'm looking backwards at the same sort of time of life. The reality is that I've been a teacher, Somehow I have a massive portfolio. Every now and then I look and I think, where did all of that come from? How in the world? Who made all that? Because I don't remember making all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I've got hard disks and old blog posts and, 30 years of stuff. somehow, like I had that feeling that I have to do this. I have to do this. It wasn't, I mean, it was sort of my job. I did a lot of commissions. Almost everything I did in that time was commission. So those were mini jobs. But even that happened kind of because I insisted. I'm going to chase this way of life. Sacrifices, it gets late at night, and I have a day job and family, kids. But there was something in it that felt necessary. And I think you got that. And the other thing to say is, I believe in possibilities. I believe in opportunities. I think God sees you, and I think God will provide you with opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. You can miss one, you can have regrets, but there's another one coming. Mm-hmm. If you talk to anybody about how did they get to where they are, it's always this winding, surprising road.
Yeah.
It's a rat's nest of just
how did that happen?
Yeah.
You don't know how it happened.
It's the cord pile, right? Yeah. You're pulling it out, and you're like, oh, they intertwine, and now they're connected somehow, and then they just, I gonna echo what Jason's saying. You're like, oh, you're through it, and you made it. Like, I'm not a professional photographer. I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm not a professional photographer. That means my main means of income is photography. I do not support myself or my family with photography. I did for a little bit, but even that was like costume photography, which was fine, but it wasn't like my main mode of expression. So I haven't really. I'm like exactly like Jason. Like, I'm just a teacher now, I guess, which is weird to say, but I'm not a professional photographer. But I'm still trying to find opportunities. And I really like boat analogies. I like the boat analogy of like, you're worried about what you're going to do. That's like worrying about the ocean. There are actual things that you have control of, right? Like, how well do you know the boat? How, is the boat prepared, right? Like, do I have the right masts and sails? Are they well tended to? Maybe you need a crew, or are you going solo, right? Did you hire the right crew? Did you watch the weather? Even though you can't really control it, are you sailing out at the right time? And then, are you well prepared? Like, do you know your stuff? Those are the things you have control of. But then once you're in the ocean, it's like, who knows? You might capsize one day and then live to tell the next thing. It's like, well, am I going to go back out and sail again because I capsized? And so you have God gave us autonomy. God gave us things that we have control over. But he's got control of the big things, the ocean. That's him. That's not us.
Ports are safe, but boats aren't made for sitting in the port.
Yeah. That's great.
It's kind of a cliche, but it's a
but
analogy.
It's so true. It's because it's true.
Right. And I think that's perfect. And I love taking analogies way too far. It's so much fun. But it's like, and some people aren't sailors, right? Like some people be like, I want nothing to do with that, right? And it's like, okay, then you don't sail. Then you stay on the land where it's dry and it's safe, and you do other adventurous things or other boring things, and that's your prerogative. You don't have it in you. There's nothing I actually don't like water, so it's funny that I use this analogy. There is nothing calling me out to sea. Nope. I hear the stories about the guys like, I sailed around the world alone. I'm like,
couldn't be me.
No, I'd rather. Anyways, so. But I can understand that, right? That they feel called, that there's this big thing out there, and they're like, I'm just going to go.
Yeah. And I mean, this goes along really well with I'm just going to keep bringing up a past podcast, I guess, when we were talking to Andy and I was talking about maybe something else like this. And I was like, yeah, I mean, sometimes I think about specifically artists just have to trust in God a lot for a lot of things. And he said, they have to. You don't have a choice. What do you mean have to? I was like, you're so smart, Andy. But
that's how anybody does anything.
Yeah, he was like, you don't have whatever you think is going to happen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have a choice of I'll just trust in God. what God is gonna make happen is gonna happen. Like, you don't, it doesn't matter whether you trust or not.
You know, I've recently been realizing, though, something that modifies that a little bit. Somebody asked me to think, what would young me think? What would young Jason think about where you are now? And that got me really thinking, really considering. Like, I'd put myself back in my high school bedroom. I'd put myself, back in the desk in the school, driving to school, hanging out with friends, listening to music. Like, who was that kid? And what did he want? Well, so this led me to a series of realizations. I realized, like 8th grade me was really upset that I didn't have art education really in grade school. And then I went to high school at MVL, and there was absolutely none. And that made me even more frustrated. And I kept thinking, who's going to do something about this? Will somebody please figure out how to teach Lutherans art? Right? And then I go to become an artist, but then God says, okay, good idea, you go do it.
It's you now, actually.
Yeah, you go be the artist.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, you go be the teacher, right? Fix the problem. Go fix the problem. And so I didn't want to, right? Because I had a different dream at that point. I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to be an artist. And then I stayed being a teacher, teaching people how to make art. And then, at some point I thought, how cool would it be to be at Bethany? Teach at Bethany. Well, and then I didn't for a very long time, and I kind of aspired above where I was. And now here I am, right? Teaching at Bethany. And now there's something in me that thinks, man, I'd love to be like artist in residence. Love to just like make art with students. So I'm telling you all this story to take you back in time and just point out that God answered all of those prayers, but by the time he answered them, I had a different desire. There's like a 10-year delay on saying yes every single time. And these were heartfelt aches, like real struggles internally. So yes, Andy's right that what else are you going to do? God's going to do what he's going to do. But also, like, I asked hard and felt like I wasn't getting it. And then by the time I got it, I forgot that I asked for it. Which is a weird realization that I kept asking to get out of the answer to my prayers.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say something, but if I say it now after that sentence, it might be taken the wrong way. The thing I prayed for more than anything else in my entire life was a family. So I don't want to get out of that prayer. That's what I mean when I said, yeah, right? Like, that was the last thing you said, right? Like, so that's not where I'm at with that. But I do continually remind myself, like, I don't care. Like, I feel like I shouldn't even ask for anything else. Like, you literally gave me the best thing. I'm like, I don't pray for things very often anymore because I'm like, well, you gave me the big thing that I really wanted, so I'm pretty. I should just really ultimately be content.
Be done. Be done.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, you answered the big one. Thank you.
That brings up another point, though. The future never comes. So you're talking about, like, will I fill in the blank?
Yeah.
But point your attention towards where you are.
Yeah.
Look what is happening now.
And you could just say right now, I'm going to be I'm a professional painter. And you start charging people money, and you're like, I'm making paint. Like, you just wake up tomorrow and go, I got a website. There's prices. I'm going to reach out to some people, and like, there's actionable things you can do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know how long it takes me to paint a portrait if it's 8x10 or 11x14. Okay, so that's how much the canvas costs. I can get it done in about a week. and I want to make X amount of money. And so I'm just going to put this price tag on this size portrait, and I'm going to throw it out there and say, I'm open for commissions. Let's go. Mm-hmm. You just do it tomorrow. You don't have to wait about future whatevers.
Yeah.
As Ben is doing. You're writing.
Yeah. It's it kind of come out of the same desire too. I know in the past you've witnessed me with some of my obsessions where I just can't stay away from a certain project with like whether the time was miniatures or just going out into the woods during exams and like building little huts and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's always strange stuff like that. But I've always felt very called to writing. You know, I think I wrote my first quote unquote book when I was like 4 years old, and it was just Cheerio boxes that I had yarned together, and it was all in crayon and everything, and it was about a superhero named Truckman and and his sidekick who was Carp Boy. Or no, I think it was also Carp Man. So it was Truckman and Carp Man, like the fish. And then ever since then, I've always like wanted to write a book, but thought that I needed to like go out into the world and get all these cool experiences first. And I still want to go on adventures and do things that are worth writing about, but eventually enough people just said, well, just start now. Like you'll be better by the time you actually have stuff worth writing about if you just get more reps. And so I had all these, half-finished week-long writing projects from high school and stuff. And but finally just kind of dove into it. And I was originally going to write historical fiction about the Old Testament, like the story of Uriah in the Bible,
cool.
and have a whole outline about that. And I think I will finish that project eventually, but realize the amount of like research into making that accurate in the way that wouldn't upset like biblical scholars was daunting to me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to like make a book that a pastor would read and maybe it'd be a good story and even like a biblical message, but you'd be like, well, those shrubs actually don't exist in that part of Mesopotamia at that time. And I wanted to get it right. So I decided to write about something that I am more familiar with, which is kind of like geopolitics nowadays, but also I love adventure novels too. So what I'm currently writing is military thriller adjacent, but it's kind of a treasure hunter story with more of a little bit more of a gritty lens on it too. So it's not as campy as Indiana Jones. Yeah. But it's been amazing too. Like I think of what you said about something you just can't stay away from and something you feel like you have to do. I'm very fortunate right now too in working at like an office job. When I'm done with my work for the day, opening up a Google Doc and writing for an hour looks like I'm, doing work and stuff like that. And I've finished, everything I need to do. So it's not like I'm, necessarily stealing time, but doing that or get home and, my wife goes to bed and I can write for another hour or two before going to bed and stuff like that. But it's, I guess maybe not the ideal situation in which you've talked about of like doing it full time, but I'm fortunate enough in that I get to do it at all and like have the time to do it. And I think I could keep doing this for, at least my plan is for, years and years to come. And I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I'll be good enough to be solely dependent on my income coming from writing, but I'm certainly going to try. And I don't think this novel will get published. I don't really anticipate it, but it'll be a good first rep. Yeah. And maybe, 4 or 5 down the line. It could be something that maybe one of them would get published, or even I've really been looking at like independent publishers or little kind of boutique presses just to at least get kind of a team behind it too. And I think that's a really neat opportunity too. So maybe, I don't have the Rolodex of experience in like being an artist too, but maybe like a smaller dream too could be part of it. Like I think as long as there's a certain press that I've been talking to when they put on writing workshops, and a lot of the authors that have kind of spoken to, some of them are very big names, like they write for the Tom Clancy Literary Estate, but other ones published through independent presses, and that's not their full-time source of income, but that's kind of what they identify as and what they care the most about. And I could see myself doing that too, or, maybe down the line, I'd love to, teach or something too, and then still write on the side too, or, continue working in my current field, and then share
Stephen King was a high school teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
I
think this is all just telling me I just need to wait. It's gonna be okay.
It's not even wait. You're doing it. Like that's it. It's like you're doing it, and take comfort in the fact that there's like pretty objective things you can do.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like I worked for a nonprofit, and we were just trying to like help them raise more money, and there was like the donation process online was atrocious, like awful. So I redesigned the whole website, and I made donating super easy. And I implemented a system where you could do it like monthly, right? Which they didn't have before. It was like a one-time thing. I'm like, no, we're going to make it so they can sign up, and it's $10 a month. And I won't say how much. They made a lot. And the first, like a lot came in through that. That wasn't coming in anywhere else. It was brand new money, all because the button was better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it was so stupid. It's like, I just made it super clear, the donate button. Now, granted, I updated the website and the messaging was better. So, like, it's not like it was just the button, but something as simple as I just went and I made it so people could donate monthly. And that simple little user interface shift, this very objective thing, instead of thinking like, because, you know, you can get really bogged down on like, how do we raise money and who do we talk to? And we've got to do all, and you think you got to do all these things. It's like, maybe you just got to get a better button on your website.
Yeah.
Maybe start there. So it's like, there's really objective things you can do. Set a price.
Start simple.
Start simple. Put a thing on your website. Say how much it costs. Have a place where people can submit and say, I'm interested.
Yeah.
And then see what happens. Maybe nothing. Or, you know, you share it on Instagram and now all of a sudden it's like bing, 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 because you did one easy little thing.
But, you know, so you say that like that's easy, right? I think you should recognize that that's because you're good at that thinking. You know, when something seems like a piece of cake to you, like any of us, that might signal a strength.
Yeah.
And
that's a good.
Sometimes it's hard to know that other people don't have that same sort of capacity.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to sort of collaborate.
Yeah. Well, that's why freelance never worked for me. I'm so bad at it. Like, I don't want to deal with invoices and emailing clients and the hustle of trying to find that stuff, right? So like I say those things, like it's really easy to do this thing, but also like a lot of that doesn't come natural to me. I'm way better if I'm working for somebody, right? Like if I like the team that I'm on and I'm a part of a team and I can identify that problem and make that fix, way better than Ben's his own team.
Yeah.
And it's like that team's not going to do very good.
Yeah.
Sometimes simple isn't easy either. Sometimes, you know, it's simple on paper to budget your day in terms of time and think of like, okay, this hour is going to be reserved for my artistic pursuit. And then you get there and you're tired and
hungry.
Hungry. And you know, how many people maybe have a dream that they kind of start like that too. So not that you want to think of it in terms of competition, because there's enough success out there for people to be successful and collaborate and everything too. But, you know, it is people only have a finite amount of income. And so if they're going to support you by you selling your paintings and stuff too, if you look at, you know, maybe how many aspiring painters versus how many people who are consistent painters, there's probably a pretty big disparity. And then maybe you walk that a couple steps down the line too of like, I think in terms of like looking at like the writing process and who actually gets published, it seems like it's kind of a game of persistence and skill. But the biggest thing seems to just be that persistence aspect of it, where, you know, people just have been doing it for long enough, and as long as they're like looking at their work and getting better and doing research and not just kind of, there's a difference between volume and the phrase I like is you can do one rep 1,000 times, or you can do like 1,000 subsequent better reps, where you're just doing the same thing over and over again, versus like each iteration is actually an iteration and builds on the last thing too. So maybe, you know, it's just kind of that doing the work that is going to end up helping that goal too, and be blessed. And so many people maybe give up before they even reach that stage, you know, where they get to kind of have that.
Yeah.
That helps me understand where my portfolio came from. Because I didn't make them all at once. You know, it wasn't one big project. It was, I'm doing this one. I got to get this one done, and I hope that this one is better. And I always thought each piece is an audition for the next one. But each one is an iteration. Each one's like a little step. And the shocking thing is like looking back at all of those little steps. I suppose it's like investment, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
just little bitty incremental gains.
Yeah. And I think I said that backwards too. It's the phrase was you can do 1,000 reps or you can do 1 rep 1,000 times.
Right.
But yeah, like there's an iterative nature to it too versus just a repetition.
How reliant do we think all creators are or artists are on community? You know, like even someone like Stephen King. So I read his book on writing recently, and I won't say I was surprised, but I was kind of surprised that like he had his writing buddies, like the dudes he would like. It was incredibly valuable, right? Even though his name's on the book, their name's not on the book. He'll thank them probably, I'm assuming, but like he's the author, right? He had to have someone to collaborate with and bounce ideas off of, someone he could trust deeply. I think about like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and like everyone painting, you know, in Monet's time and all those guys hanging out with Monet, man. Like even though Monet's by him, well, he wasn't even by himself all the time. They'd paint together. Yeah. But we think of them as solo beings. Like I think a good way to illustrate the importance of it is maybe look at Van Gogh and how distraught he was. He was alone. You know, as far as I know, like he had his brother, and I know Gauguin and him were friends. Ish, right. So even that was kind of shaky. Yeah. So you've got this guy who's famous for, you know, offing himself and being really just struggling as an artist, and he's also on an island alone. I don't know.
Well, he was emotionally on an island. Gauguin was literally on.
Yeah, that's good. Right. So you know, how do you guys think about that? Because the reason I bring it up, Norah, is like you're here right now and there's a community. You know, if I was you and I was thinking about the future, I don't know, and I don't want you to worry, but because we shouldn't worry, but it's like that's the thing to consider. Is like, how do I leverage that right now? The community of people, and then how do I carry that on?
Co-hosting a podcast seems to be a good move.
I think my approach right now is just do everything like that you can, like just really take advantage of the collaboration, which is great, but you know, it's not really planned for the future, I guess. It's just doing stuff now, you know.
Well, I think learning about yourself is sort of an undercurrent about a lot of the things we're saying. If you figure out, you know, what you're made for, figure out what fascinates you, your drivers, why is it hard for me to not keep a schedule or something like that, you know, I think then you kind of get these sort of rewards.
That kind of begs an interesting question too, Ben, of what you said of like, and this could be another simultaneity, but is the art for you or is it for other people too? Like I know on Writing by Stephen King, he talks about his wife as kind of his sounding board, and he likes to write because he imagines his wife reading
as
it
the audience
and bouncing it off. And he says like, and I've experienced this too, like the first time I told my wife that I was like writing and like gave her a chapter to read, and she like laughed out loud at one part. I was like, oh, this is like the, you know, such a cool feeling that like someone else is like enjoying this versus it just being something that I see in my head. But you know, up until that point, the book had just been something for me to kind of tell these stories that maybe I see while I'm on a run or something, and it's just a cool thing comes to mind.
Yeah,
do you guys think about that? Like when you're painting and you're sculpting, you know, because for like movies, there's obviously the commercial aspect of it, right? Like you can really like this thing and that's great, but are you going to bore the crap out of us and we're going to be sitting here? It's like you have to think about your audience, right? You have to think about the audience's experience. That's a lot of times what the editor's there to help you with. So it is very important. But for you guys, like, how much do you make creative decisions based on what you, or is it not at all based on the audience perception?
I think it's just like, I don't know. I think when I think about at least that painting, it's weird because me thinking about it, I don't think it's that like commercial looking, but me thinking about it, very like commercial. I'm like, why does it work? I think the composition is good, and I think that I'm not going to make an image where the composition is not good or where it doesn't, because that's good art. But it's hard because, I don't know, just like the Andy Overn of it all, we were talking about in one of his classes earlier, like fine art versus illustration. And for him, it's there's like a strong line of like illustration. You're not doing it for you. You're like, you can be wrong. And for him in fine art, I think there's more of like an idea of you can't be wrong. But when I'm doing my stuff, even when I'm not making it for someone, I think there's no way for me to approach it without the viewpoint of an audience, I don't think.
Yeah. I remember Andy had that talk with me when I was a student, and I just find it funny that like my favorite photos no one will ever hang up in their house.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's usually people. It's like, that's some random kid I don't know, or that's like some dude, right? Like one of my favorite pictures ever is just a dude on the street. It's like no one's going to put that in their house unless they're like giant street photography nerds.
Yeah.
Then maybe. But even then, most street photographers aren't like selling prints or anything like that. So it's like, yeah, but you can go commercial with it, right? Like I could go take some landscape photos that people would probably be like, ooh, pretty.
Yeah.
I want that on my wall.
Yeah. And that's the thing is no one's putting that. The pastor that you had a talk in here with,
Aaron Robinson.
Yeah, I was showing him that painting, and he was like, "So, like, are you gonna keep this, or like, are you gonna sell it?" And I was like, "I don't want to keep. Like, I don't want it. It's a painting of me. I don't want that." But I was like, I don't know who would buy it either. So, I mean, I have it right now because it would be really good to put in a portfolio. But I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
But like, the product, the object isn't really the point.
Perchance, no.
Perchance, no. And I think, well, I mean, you do it for a different reason. Like where it ends up isn't really your concern.
That's true.
You're just trying
Which is not very commercial.
You're trying to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I think so.
Yeah. And you're trying to figure out your skills.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of it was education. I think a lot of it was like solving, which to me, I think maybe that's what I'm saying. That feels commercial. Like solving an image and how to make it work feels, I don't know. It feels like you're performing something for an audience, and I really don't mind that at all. I've discovered I really like that kind of thing. I love public speaking. I really like acting. I really like that. So it doesn't bother me, but I do think that it's performative. And that's okay. And not everyone's like that either.
I'm thinking about the sculpture in my studio right now, trying to consider your question. Do I think about audience? Yeah, so there's two figures. A male dives in from above, and there's sort of an implied water line, and a woman in a wedding dress sort of floundering in the water. He's kind of rescuing, lifting her out, ish, and it makes this kind of giant S curve.
3-year-olds get it.
Well, so legibility is on my mind, right? You're asking, like, do I think about this? Legibility is something that I try to turn the dial up or down on, because I know I've done illegible work.
Well, yeah, because you have iterations of this too, and I remember the early stages where it seemed as if a part of the point of those iterations was to get that feedback and say, I would watch you ask people to encounter it and let them try and unpack it, and so that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think so. I would use that earlier stage, that scale model, to kind of like get out of myself and try to understand, how does this play? How does it work? So that's thinking about audience, right? It's like end user. The concept, this image, I insist, I've never seen it. I don't know that I've seen this composition or this narrative. And I'm learning. So I think what part of what's different about being a fine artist is that you don't really know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. As an illustrator or a designer, you know, you can make that same claim, like, I don't know how to solve this. But as an artist, sometimes you don't even know what the problem is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know.
Well, I think you have to solve it through the work. Right, like
that's
art,
exactly
right. The book Art and Fear dives into that, where it talks about like the best way for an artist to learn how they work and their tools and materials is in the work. Like
right.
No matter how much intellectual time you spend attacking a thing, mm-hmm. you're never going to get as far as you're going to get if you're doing the work.
Right. It's not strategy; it's action.
Right.
Does it feel like you're like inventing something, or you're more exploring kind of a concept? And maybe that's not the dichotomy, but...
I think exploring.
Exploring?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. And recently I discovered a really obvious thing. Mm-hmm. It's the Song of Songs. Mm. And I should say that I see this as the doctrine of justification. This is Jesus diving in to rescue his bride, the church. We preach this way, we hear about this, but I've never seen it. And the exploring, right, the dwelling with it, the spending time making it, is giving me insights because I'm dwelling with it long enough for something to like pop up topically. So Song of Songs, Song of Solomon, I'm realizing it's that same picture. It's this picture of romantic love that transfers.
That's going to be really cool to see too, because I think sometimes as dudes it's tough to be like, to envision yourself as like the bride because you're part of the church. I know that's maybe kind of silly, but like...
No, I've actually heard that before from other like men. It's just like, that's
just,
hard.
There's just like a little bit of mental resistance there, but I think it's such a beautiful analogy too because of how, I guess the Song of Songs, but then also like the physical manifestation of that too, because there's so many like biblical callbacks there too, of like you think of Jesus rescuing Peter as he's falling into the churning sea,
right?
Too. That'll be really cool to see.
Well, I've always just with the bride thing. I mean, it's just an analogy, like the prodigal son. Mm-hmm. It's not about a son. It could be the prodigal daughter. The gender doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's the imagery that comes along with that, right? And
absolutely.
And so with the church, it's like the beauty there is look at what the rest of Scripture says about a husband's relationship to a bride. You're like, whoa, that's how much Jesus like. That illustrates perfectly how much Jesus cares for us, right? And it also tells us husbands how we should behave. But it's like that's the power of it. It's like, yeah, he's sacrificing everything for us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wasn't saying...
No, I know. I'm trying to help those guys that are like, I don't want to be a bridegroom. Yeah. I was like, it's okay. It's not about, it's not, don't take it so literal. It's not about the literal. Can I say a really cool thing? So... I'm going to share this with you, Ben. I'm taking a TV writing course right now, and we got this awesome devotional workbook for writers, which is really great. Theologically, I don't know. This is where I'm like, I want to send it to my pastor friends because every once in a while I'm reading, I'm like, meh. But I love what it does. It's got about a page to a page and a half per day that you're supposed to read, and today's is really fitting. It's based on what we were talking about. Is like, will we be remembered? Does it even matter? Matthew 24:35, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. And then it says, most writers want their work to endure after they're gone. The longer, the better. In fact, what we'd really like is to create stories and films that will never pass away. We hope our words, our films, our art will still touch the hearts and minds of people 1,000 years from now. This gives us a sense of immortality, but it's a false sense of immortality. For in the long run, eternity, that is, there's only one writer whose words will never pass away. That's God. And then it just goes on to kind of unpack that for a bit. That's really great.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it does that for like every day, and it's kind of always based around like struggles that writers have or things for you to consider. Mm-hmm. But you can expand it beyond writing. You just swap writer for artist, and it works almost every time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Did you say the title?
Oh no, sorry.
I'm imagining a listener. I just called him a reader. I was about to call him a reader. I'm imagining our whistlers out there.
Sorry, whistlers. It is Getting Through the First Draft of Your Life by Chris Young. Chris is with a K. So Getting Through the First Draft of Your Life by Chris Young. And I, reading it, I was like, man, I want Jason to make one for sculptors, or like someone to make one for
devotion book.
Yeah, I'll make maybe maybe when I'm 70, I'll write a devotional photography book.
Do really it, cool. Ben. Do it.
I don't know if it works as well. I think what
you're about to take your advice that you gave about objective, actionable items that you can do tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Start it now.
The turns have tabled.
All the tides have tabled.
And we're back on the boat analogy.
Here we are.
Hey, we did it. Bringing it around.
Well, let's bring it into port.
Let's.
Anybody have closing thoughts or something really on your mind?
Well, I guess just one thing that came to mind when Norah first texted me this isn't super profound too, by the way, but it's just the theme of like simultaneity or simultaneousness. When I was just applying it to writing, I was thinking it's such a great way to like build tension is to have a lot of different things going on at once. But then it can also kind of dispel like intimacy a little bit too with the characters. So it kind of depends. It's just like at least in fiction, it's kind of a useful tool. So like if you think of like recently I watched the first Jason Bourne movie.
Yeah.
And you could take that whole movie and only like you could just cut all the CIA scenes and only watch Jason Bourne the whole movie, and it'd be like a half hour shorter, but it would still make perfect sense, and it would actually I think lend itself a little bit more to like his state as like losing his mind or his memory and everything, because you just feel that too. But then I think of like writing some scenes in my book when there's a lot of different things happening at once, and I try to build tension to like a moment and then switch to something else, like right as the payoff would happen. And then it kind of keeps, at least the goal is to try to keep reader tension sticking with it too. And then I thought of like, well, from God's perspective, he's omniscient, omnipotent, all these things at the same time. So he's seeing all these things, but as like a single human POV, we're just seeing the one thing at a time. So you can kind of play those tricks to trick a reader into maintaining interest, hopefully.
Okay, so but let's say you're the protagonist in your life, right? So do you think that God uses simultaneousness to create a tension, some sort of like? Do you think it's if your story is playing out the adventure of your life, right? Maybe stress has a purpose in the same way that an author uses it to tell the story.
I think in a fallen world it does, maybe, right? Yeah. Like that maybe was, obviously it wasn't the intention, but I think beautiful things have come from horrible things. Like the human lived experience, although not what God intended, still has beauty within it, and that beauty can come through the struggle. It's the dichotomy, right? The saint and the sinner. Well, it would be great if we were just saints, but we're not, and that's the reality of the situation. Doesn't mean it's not wildly beautiful that we're saints and sinners, right? Like those two things can be, they're not mutually exclusive, right?
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of what you're talking about and thinking about being a saint and a sinner is like everything points back to God, because like storytelling is just that. Like good stories in a fallen world have strong dichotomies. Learning about theme, right? So like great stories have really great themes, and a lot of times there's multiple themes. Well, in order for that theme to like ring true or be present, you need people to test the theme. You need the anti-theme, right? And it's not like you can just have the theme. It's like, no, if there's no one there to test it, well, how do we know how to feel about that at the end, right? Like, you could have something about revenge where it's like revenge can, like revenge corrupts good people or something, or revenge can corrupt a good person, something like. I'm just spitballing here, but if that's your theme, okay. But like, how do you test it? Well, you need that person who's a good person, and maybe there's a good person who doesn't give in or something. Like you need that tension, that thing to test it. and it's usually the opposite of it.
Yeah,
and so the dichotomies make it stronger.
that feels like, I mean, what we've been talking about and exploring this whole podcast is just like there's simultaneousness here and here and here and here. And I mean, like, just being made in the image of God. God is perfect simultaneousness. And I think we're just seeing reflections of it and pieces of it everywhere, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Fractals.
Fractal.
The fractals everywhere.
They are.
Okay. Well, you know, supposedly we have a theme, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Simultaneousness sort of was the opening shot, but I just love all the different places we go on these conversations, and I think we continually verify that people are bigger on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
There's just amazing insights that pop out of us without preparation. In some ways, we've been preparing the whole time. You know,
I've been preparing for 37 years.
Yes. That's a great Ben quote.
yeah, right. And well, maybe somebody will be listening to this when you're 47.
Or 70.
Who knows?
With a photography devotional book
Yeah.
out in your local bookstore.
And Norah is a professional painter.
And it's sitting next to Ben's book.
And Ben's got a whole series of espionage models, or what are they? Books. I think it's been too late.
Or maybe I'm not a professional painter.
The words are failing.
It's okay.
Yeah, right. The point is we don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have a quote. I don't know who it's from. The future always flinches first. And
that's
settles
good.
in as the gentle present.
Wait, say that again, the last part?
And settles in as the gentle present. The future always flinches first.
That's assuming that you're going to take a swing at it.
That's how I feel about the future.
Yeah.
That's all right. I like
scary.
that. I like that.
I do
I feel
too.
like that can be a
Like I said, you
whole
can stand on the
theme.
precipice
Right?
of the
Yeah, so-
ocean, prepared and ready to go out. Right? Like, that's the future. That's how I view it. Like, yeah, I don't know what the heck's going to happen when I'm out there.
It's exciting though.
Yeah. You might end up, you know, in what you think is India, but it's America. Who knows?
Beautiful.
no one knows.
Ben, the boat analogy. Ben, it's phenomenal.
I'll stop now.
It's like you're world building, but it's just one analogy. It's beautiful to watch you work.
Thanks for letting me just
He was
randomly.
built for boat analogy.
It is funny because I hate boats.
It doesn't matter.
I hate being on the water.
Because you watch Jaws too.
Yes, right. The simultaneousness of my favorite analogy.
He loves boat analogies, but he hates boats. That's
Well, you're made for this.
That's
you know?
the image of God. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so glad I randomly popped in. Thank you.
I'm so
Yeah,
glad you
well,
did
there's
too.
windows, right?
It helps.
We'll pull people
Does
in.
help. Lovely.
Okay. Moving into port.
Bye, friends.
Drop anchor.
And that concludes this episode of Whistle the Feast. We hope you enjoyed being a part of the conversation as much as we did. Whistle the Feast would not be possible without all the creative people and spaces at Bethany Lutheran College. And you can head on over to blc.edu to learn more about the college or schedule a visit. If you have thoughts, questions, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can actually send any feedback about the show to feastreaders@gmail.com. And hey, if you've got a project you'd like to promote, we'd love to support it. Just send your details our way. A huge shout out to the wonderful people in our Bethany community for sharing their thoughts with us, and our producer Jaksyn Graham for managing the edits. And with that, I'm Norah Kratz alongside Jason Jaspersen, and we want to thank everyone who tuned into this episode of Whistle the Feast. Until next time.
Get curious, be of good service, and discover what God has given you.